Hi all. This is a video that I was about to make, but it's 8 degrees in Michigan, so I'm not going outside. So it's an older video that I made for our local TU chapter, and it is about the 8 common mistakes I see when I'm teaching fly fishers. I typically teach the intermediate fly fishermen's at the TU fly fishing school, and they walk in and they have almost all of these issues. So here's a good one for you. I hope you enjoy it. Please like and subscribe, and have a good time. Okay, this is my 7 common mistakes with fly casting. All right, so this is this month's video. So let's see where we are. Okay, I will post these videos. So my first problem I'm going to talk about is something called drift in casting, and this is something that I used to do, and I always want to be Brad Pitt, so I would do a thing called drift. So I would stop my rod and then kind of do a little thing at the end so I could look graceful. That just kills your power. Okay, so you have to stop, wait for the line, and then drop. So drift is something that you have to be careful of. Okay, so none of this, okay, forget it. Okay, here's one of my big pet peeves. I see a lot of people casting, instead of casting like this, or casting close, they're like doing this weird, and this when you see your reel coming way out like this, it's going to get very strange, and you're going to not cast well. So try to keep your elbow in, keep that Bible tucked under your arm, and cast. You can still cast sideways this way, but this big sweeping thing, don't do that. Okay, that's a bad thing. So stop that. One of the things you're going to need as part of this video, and I forgot to mention, is make sure you have a ruler, because you know what that ruler is for? That ruler is for when you see yourself doing stuff like that, you go like this. There you go, look at that, I broke the ruler, I hit that thing so hard. All right, so make sure you have your ruler with you. All right, the next thing. Oh, now this one, a lot of spinning rod guys do this one, and they have this beautiful cast. They have this beautiful cast, and then at the end, it's like, you know, they want to throw it, and what you end up with is a big pile of junk down at the end. Okay, you want to avoid that at all costs. Remember, you don't need to gun it at the end. In fact, gunning it at the end is going to be your biggest problem. So make sure you just do your regular cast, and then you can maybe give a little bit at the end, but none of that big reach stuff, none of that gunning at the end. So annoying, so bad. Okay. Another thing, everybody wants to look like Brad Pitt, so they want to false cast for an hour and then cast. Okay, this is the one thing you need to practice. All the time that line is up in the air, you're not catching fish. So practice, and you shouldn't need more than what I call a pick up and cast. So your line's out there, you pick it up and then cast, and then that should be enough. If you got a good stop at the end and a nice pull and a good stop here, you're going to get a good cast. So just pick it up and cast. Practice this at home. Hit a bunch of spots in your backyard. Practice up, down, up, down. Okay, that's probably going to be your #1 cast. You're going to do that 90% of the time, and you're not going to be sending stuff all over there. Okay. Oh, this is an important one. I'm going to set my rod down now. And this is something I call know your line. Now, I see a lot of people try to cast a lot of distance, and they're casting and they keep letting line out and they let line out and they let line out. And what they end up with is, at a certain point, it all starts to fall apart. Well, the idea is that if you pull your line out about 30 feet, the first 30 feet of your line, if you have weight forward line, looks like this. And then at a certain point after 30 feet, the line gets much thinner. And I don't know if you'll be able to see the difference between the two a little bit. And what happens is this is called the running line. This is the thick stuff is what you can cast. So what you should do is find where that sort of ends. So I think on this one right about here. Get a magic marker. Don't stick it in your mouth, because then no one will be able to understand you. And just mark your line with the magic marker at that spot. And you might want to do a little better job than what I just did right there. But mark your line so that you know where that ends. After a while, you'll get a feel for where it ends. But in the beginning, you can mark your line. There's actually a couple companies that make line that changes color from the thick part to the thin part. I think Rio may do something like that. There's a company, I think, called Superior Line Company that actually will dye it in any color you want. So there's a bunch of companies that do that. But in general, all you need is a magic marker. Okay? So know your line. Because what that means is you can cast 30 feet beautifully, and your line will look great. You go beyond that, you try to get farther and farther, and eventually it's going to collapse just because you're casting that thin line. So that's the point where you need to learn how to shoot line. So after that, so you got your couple casts, you're at the point where it doesn't work anymore, and then that's when you shoot the line. Okay? It's a simple one, but boy, I see a lot of people struggle with that, and they go, I can't get past a certain distance. And that's where that comes from. Okay, here's another one. Number 7. Hand position. I'm going to just tip this a little bit. A lot of people have learned, or they're trying to learn how to haul or something. And what they do is they cast like this. Now you may be noticing that when I pull back, the line is coming out of the rod, which is great because that actually loads the rod. That's really good. But as soon as I start bringing it in, that line, see all this line here, has to feed out through the rod. And what it does is you lose all of that good loading you had back there. And when you bring it forward like this, you lose all of that. So the trick is, when you're casting with 2 hands, unless you're hauling both times, is to keep those 2 hands close together. You will find that your casts will go much farther and much sharper. If you really want to do it correctly, you should have the line under your finger at all time. This is a bad habit even that I have. I may have to pull out the ruler and slap me. Because when you're doing this, and then you catch a fish, if you drop the line, then you have to go finding it. So sometimes keeping your finger there is the way to go. Okay, and then you can shoot your line like that. So these are my 7 common mistakes that happen. Boy, there's a lot of traffic here today. I'm in a park. Those are my 7 things. Use them. Watch yourself. Take the camera out into the park. Watch yourself cast. It's all about self-diagnosing. So that's my tips.